Oh, here we go. Now we're live. I don't know what happened. I hit go live and you came on, and then it just froze. So, welcome everyone. Tuesday night live Eastern Outdoors. I think we probably have a few things we could talk about tonight. A little news coming out in Kentucky about the deer herd. Heartland Hunter from YouTube is already here. Says this could be catastrophic to our deer herd. I sure hope Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has a good plan in place. I can tell I sound a little nasally tonight, so I am. I don't know if I got strep,
Cool.
flu, COVID, all of it. I don't really care. Does COVID even exist anymore? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, I think it is.
Are you
Yeah,
sure? Was it
it,
everything? Was
it,
COVID
it
ever
ramps
real?
it ramps up every once in a while.
Was
It brings
COVID
back
ever
up.
real though? For real? Like, was it? Do you think it was real?
I mean, I think people got sick. I mean, I
I'm
don't.
joking. I'm just trying to get the comments stirring. Brent says it's real. He had it in September. Brent, this is my third bout. Adam, oh, of course. Adam Lewis, the resident doctor. Adam, I'm totally joking. Totally joking. Adam, actually, the first time I got it, he was very helpful. Um, that was the worst time, too. The first time. This is my third. I don't
Yeah,
know if I have it for sure. Um, my girl's mom had it, and I think my oldest girl may have it now, and I think maybe I have it. But so
that happens.
I have a couple at home tests. So yes,
There's
Adam, I don't. Adam, I'm just joking.
there's so much
Speaking of,
crap.
hey, listen. The reason I said that though is some people don't think COVID is real, and some people don't think CWD is real,
True.
or they minimize the impact that both could have. So it's very relatable here. Loman Scarborough's here says, "What's up, guys? Hey, Loman, how you doing?" I call him Roman so much. It's just Roman. I mean, I just call him that all the time. Deer movement was good today. Seems like I've got pictures nonstop. That's good to hear.
Yeah, that
Are
was
you
last
still
night
hunting,
for
Mike?
me.
Are you still
Yeah,
hunting?
yeah. I'm planning on if I can work it out. I'm going to try to go this weekend. I've got some things I want to do down on the farm anyway, so I'm hoping I
Yeah,
can get down there.
there you go. Our buddy John
Bow
Allen
hunting.
is killed a nice doe today.
Hmm.
Every doe is nice, so I say nice doe. I don't know. Um, Gordy Mullins is here now. Gordy, you've been hunting up in Ohio. James Evans says one of my employees got it and gave it to his whole family. Luckily for the rest of it. Now, James, you talking about COVID or CWD? Because I don't think humans can get CWD. That's what I heard. That's a joke. Probably a bad one. But.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to share this on my personal page. I know there's a lot of folks who want to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
And I will just say up front, I know very little about it. I'm not an expert. I'm not a biologist. Um, I just know what I read and what people tell me.
Yeah.
So we'll just take that approach as, hey, let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about this positive CWD test. Um, and let's stick to facts, right?
Yep.
Just because Ted Nugent doesn't think it's a problem doesn't mean that it's not, right? And just because, some states are slaying deer by the thousands to get rid of it doesn't mean that works either, right? It's just I think the approach I talked to one of the commissioners anonymously the other day, and he said, "Look, we're trying to take what other states have done successfully and implement that, and then take what other states have done unsuccessfully and avoid that.
Makes
That's all you
sense.
can do. That's all you
Yep.
can do."
Yep.
So,
And there's been
uh,
plenty of states that have had prior experience to our state, so we can learn
right,
from that
right,
stuff.
right, right. So, hey, let us know where you're watching from, real quick. I see. I think last week we had so many states represented, and this week we are talking about CWD in Kentucky. But I want to hear what your state has done in response to. I mean, some states have had CWD forever, like Wisconsin has just overrun with it. And in some states like Kentucky, in Tennessee, it's fairly new. So let us know where you're watching from. Share this with your friends on their profile. You're probably friends with other Kentucky hunters who want to talk about this. So share that with them, and we'll get this conversation rolling. Um, There you go, Mike. That was your
That was my cue.
cue
Yeah,
to jump in. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's going to be a good conversation. I think we can learn a lot about it, and I think you know the way I look at it is we just need to look at it from the scientific point of view, and so I think we have a lot of guys in our community, in the hunting community, that want to kind of say, these biologists are going to tell you anything, or the government's going to tell you this, so we can do this or do that, or follow their lead, and
Right.
I don't believe that our personal wildlife management, our wildlife department is going to go against the hunters. They're not trying to do things
No, no,
to
no.
play the hunters. Like they're just not. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't think these guys and gals that work there are doing things for the government against hunters. I just don't believe that.
No, they're not. And here's the thing. Anytime the government is involved, anytime politics are involved, there's always skepticism, right?
Sure.
There's always doubt. There's always, what are they really trying to do? Like, it's just natural to believe, to feel that way, right? I see that you're wearing your Fish and Wildlife hat. Solidarity there. You're really supporting the department. Here's what I can tell you about the department. One, they care greatly about our resources. Now, these are the people I know. Does everyone out there? It's probably like every other job. There's probably some turds out there. I don't know. But everyone I know there, great folks, great men, great women.
Hmm.
Friends with a lot of them, honestly. And they really care about doing what's right with the resources.
Hmm.
And they really care about hunters. And
Yeah.
sometimes that puts you in a predicament to where you have to go against hunters because you put the resource first. It's like last week we talked about balancing. Okay, Kentucky's rifle deer season is in the middle of the rut. It's 2 weeks, 3 weekends. Is that right? 2 weeks, 3 weekends, or 3 weeks, 4 weekends?
Yeah. 2 weeks, 3 weekends.
2
Yep.
weeks, 3 weekends. Some people hate it, some people love it. And so for the Fish and Wildlife, they have to balance, how does that affect our deer herd? How does that affect hunter satisfaction? Overall, hunters are satisfied, right? 95,000 deer were killed with a rifle. Those
Hmm.
95,000 are probably mostly satisfied.
Hmm.
So, with this CWD case, they have to say, okay, what's factual? What do we need to do to protect the resource and also maintain hunter satisfaction? So, I don't know, something weird like came through your speakers there when I was talking, Mike. I don't know what happened.
Oh, weird.
Here's one thing I can assure everyone. It's not a money grab. I've seen a lot of people like follow the money. I would love for someone who believes that to explain to me and show how the Fish and Wildlife is monetarily benefiting from a positive case of CWD. Federal grant money. I mean, they already get federal money, right? I
I'll
mean,
be
it's
honest with
not
you.
going to be the amount of time and stress and effort that they're going to have to put into this county out there in Ballard County is not worth I promise you, it's not worth the amount of money to them. So,
It's going to cost money, sir. It's going to cost money.
yeah.
So I
So,
don't think this is what they want. They're not trying to play some kind of game here.
yeah. So I can agree here with John Ross. He says, I think they want us to kill lots of deer just legally.
Yep.
I can promise you in central and western Kentucky, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, they want you to kill lots of deer. They want you to kill your one buck, and then they would love for everyone to kill 1 or 2 does. And that is really one of the responses that we need as hunters is, so in Kentucky, we have, I don't know, 300,000 to 400,000 hunters. I want you to guess, on average, how many deer are, guess this in the comments, please. How many deer are killed per hunter on average? So 300, Mike, you don't answer because you already know.
Yep.
300, 400, 350,000 hunters. Does the average hunter in Kentucky kill 2 deer? Do they kill 3? Do they kill 1? Do they kill 2.5? What is your answer? I want it in comments. How many hunters hunters, how many deer on average does each hunter in Kentucky kill? In Kentucky. Go ahead. It's also spread by coyotes. I've never heard that. I think it's just a cervid spreader. I don't know. I told you we're not experts, so
Absolutely not. We are not claiming at all to be experts on CWD.
All right, so here's
or
what
the
we got.
biology
Let's
of it.
see. We got some good answers. WO says 1.5 deer per hunter. This person says 2 deer per hunter. Josh says 1.5. Will Collinger says half. That's a decimal there. 0.5. John Ross says 3 deer per hunter. James says 0.8. Josh says 0.3. I literally told you guys the other day in the chat or in the text. Jim, who we're so glad. Listen, let's pause right here for. So if you have followed our page for a long time, if you've been, somebody said 0. It's not 0. If you've followed our page for a long time and been on this show is going on like 2.5 years old. Jim Carroll is one of our most loyal, most I guess loyal.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss, man. Most consistent viewers. And he's been battling a bout of cancer. And he told me and Mike yesterday that he's feeling good enough to get out there and hunt again. He's not just I think he was wanting to get out there earlier, but he's feeling good enough for his wife to let him get out there and hunt again. And so I just want to shout Jim out. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy for him that he was able to get out and get out into the woods and just enjoy it.
Right, yeah. PK says 3, 2. Gary Kite says 0.5. Let's see. No one has said it. I think the closest just now answered 1.34. So in the state of Kentucky, 350,000 roughly hunters, we kill 1.2 deer per hunter. So that means that most people are a one and done buck hunter in Kentucky. And we need, and I'm talking all zone 2, 3, and 4, we need people to kill more does.
Mm-hmm.
We need them to kill more does.
Yep.
And you can't make people do that, but it's going to be better for our deer population. It's going to be better. This is just research facts. It's going to be better for growing mature bucks and keeping bucks around. And some people don't want us to kill more does. They want us to kill less does or don't kill any does. But the science just doesn't show that. All right. Like the deer experts are wanting you to kill more does. If you talk to Kyle Sams, I don't think Kyle's on here tonight. You know, I sent Kyle like 3 or 4 messages. He never responded. Finally, I just said, "Hey, are you alive, Kyle?" And then
I hope he is.
After that, he is. He texted me. I finally got his number and was like, "Hey, I don't know why I don't have your number, but send me your cell number so I can text you." And he responds much quicker that way. So WO says, "I'm one of those that bring." Oh, wrong one. I'm one of those that brings that average up. Yes. So I'm very proud of the fact that Josh killed 3 deer this year, right? A buck and 2 does.
Mm-hmm.
No. He killed 1 doe at Peabody. I don't think he killed a doe at his house. He's on here. He can tell us. Mike killed a buck and 2 does.
Mm-hmm.
I killed a buck and a doe. Josh's son killed a buck and a doe. John Allen has been gone a lot of deer season, but he just killed a doe today. Mm-hmm. So we're doing our part. We're doing our part at Eastern Outdoors. We're killing does. Doug Clayton says we need more Uncle Dons. Will you explain that to everyone, Mike?
Yeah. So my Uncle Don is probably maybe 2 to 3 years removed from retiring, and all that guy does is harvest deer.
How many did he kill this year?
That's a great question. I'd have to get
this is a low year for him.
It actually is. He's been a little bit. He's been really focused on one deer, and he ended up getting it during the gun season. It was a 12-pointer, but I think he's gotten at least 4, if not 5. And we live in zone 1, so he's gotten does and then the 1 buck. So Uncle Don, he's just ate up with hunting. That's all he does when the season's open.
How many did he kill last year?
11 or 12, I think.
The year before that, I feel like it was like 14.
It was 13 or 14 the year before that. Yeah, he just gets after it, man. And he loves to doe hunt, loves getting after it, loves to just be out there, man.
Does he process his own? Does he give any away, or does he take them all to the processor and they do it?
Yeah,
That is expensive. You kill a dozen deer.
yeah, it is
They need to
expensive.
give
So
him a bulk discount. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, they do. He does. He does donate sometimes. And what he does is his boys have one of his sons has a freezer at his house, so they butcher it at that location. So they'll
Yeah.
go, and he lives like right up the road. It's not far at
Yeah.
all from his son. So he goes up there and they just work on it together.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I misspoke earlier. I said we need to kill more does in zones 2, 3, and 4. I meant 1, 2, and 3. Zone 4, you only get one doe tag,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Zone 4, you can't hunt does during rifle season. You can during this late muzzleloader season, the last weekend. So this coming weekend, you can hunt does in zone 4s. But I meant zones 1, 2, and 3. We need more does. Now, Will says here. He says, but out here, people done shoot does. I don't know if he meant don't shoot does or they do shoot does, especially out of staters and older hunters that grew up when they weren't deer. I'm guessing he's saying don't.
Yeah.
But
They
out there
probably
where
don't.
he lives is where they need to start shooting. I'm pretty sure Will is close to Ballard County. Maybe he's in Ballard. I don't know. Let's see. Hunters for the Hungry. There you go.
That's a great
Josh
organization.
Wilson. I'm at 3 deer, 2 does, and 1 button buck. Antler tag is still burning a hole in my pocket. Well, Josh,
I've
go
been
there,
there.
brother.
I've been
Hey,
there.
it's a great weekend for it. Muzzleloader. Josh is a public land hunter. A lot of public lands allow muzzleloading hunt this time of year. So go.
Yeah,
get
that late
Josh.
season one's open. You're right.
Yep. Let's see. PK has only killed 1 deer this year. Dwayne, glad to have you on here, Dwayne, our good buddy. Josh said, I killed a buck and a doe. My son killed a buck and a doe. I'm taking my neighbor's son during youth season at the end of the month to add to that. There you go. Oh, yeah, Josh. Technically, Josh killed a buck and a button buck.
Please get that right. We'll have somebody look that up later.
Tiny button buck. I like hunting on the border of zone 1 and 2. Perfect. Yeah, there are some, and I think that someone may have mentioned it earlier. I think that there's going to be some changes in some zone 4 counties.
Mm-hmm.
And that won't be next year. It'll take time. But I
years,
think like Pike County is one. Now Pike County is the largest county we have in Kentucky. It's huge. Not the most populated, obviously. That's Jefferson and then Fayette, but it is huge. And so I'm sure there's people in Pike County saying, we ain't got no deer. And that's probably true on their product. They probably don't see many deer. And there's some people that I know personally that hunt there is like, man, I've got so many does. I got to go and whack them and stack them, right? So, a zone can vary. You could almost take each county and put a zone within the counties because they vary. When they establish these zones, when they establish regulations, they have to do it for the common good overall, right? So, Doug says donate some money to Hunters for the Hungry. There you go.
So if you're not donating deer, you can always do that as well. Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
Dwayne Best is doing his part. He's doing his best. He said he's killed 4 does and a buck so far. And Christian is late. That's all right, Chris. Speaking of Chris, you know what? We were so excited to go bear hunting this past weekend. Here was the original. Me, Mike, John Allen were supposed to go.
Yep.
Then Chris and Loman said, we're going too. And not a single one of us made it. And that's sad.
It is sad. I'm disappointed because we've gone 2 years in a row now and ended up missing this weekend. We had Haley was at a competition up in Columbus, Ohio, and
cheerleading
basketball.
Man. Come on.
Tough.
My girls play. I have one girl that's in gymnastics and she loves it. I have one girl that plays basketball. I'm her coach. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we have determined, don't tell Haley this, Mike, but my basketball player has determined like cheerleading is useless at sports games. No. At a cheer competition, great. But we're like, why do you need cheerleaders at sports games, right? I mean, obviously, we don't think they're useless, but, they don't affect the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
Sorry, Haley.
I get it. No, she doesn't do that. She does the cheer, like gymnastics competition.
She's a competitive cheerleader.
Yeah, I should say that, yeah.
So, yes, Chris, we did make it to bow season. We didn't put a bear down. I saw some bears killed this weekend.
Mhm.
$1. Andy says $1. Still added on those. Andy, where are you from? Let us know. That's a new name. I don't remember that name. But we're glad you're here, Andy.
Welcome in, Andy.
So we'll talk. We'll talk about. We're going to talk about CWD in just a second. Gordy says, "Congrats to Michael on his turkey hunt." Michael here. Let me just say, I'm proud of Mike. Okay, I'm proud of Mike because Mike is not very adventurous. He's not. He's he has his routine, and he's great. It's a great routine.
Yeah.
Great family, good hunter. But he just doesn't. He doesn't push himself a whole lot.
I don't branch out.
But he is. He is this time. He actually applied to turkey hunt Osceolas in Florida. Didn't think you were going to get drawn. Thought it'd be maybe 2 or 3 years, and you were drawn the very first time.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Michael on two things. One, taking that's a challenge. You got to drive 12 hours. You got to hunt an unknown land that you're not going to get to scout in person. And I'm proud of you, Mike, for taking that chance. And now you just got to go get it done.
Yes, sir. That's what it's all about. Thank you, man. Thanks, Cody.
Where are you hunting in Florida?
So there's I'll be in Marion County, which is about an hour to an hour and a half north of Orlando. I'll be in Ocala National Forest and within one of the units inside Ocala National Forest.
So if you out there, the millions of viewers we have, if you have hunted Ocala State Forest, John Ross says, I know the area. Hey, hit Mike up. Hit Mike up. He'll take any advice, any suggestions, any pins that you have, right? Because we have been called spot burners. So here, you share your spots with us. We'll share our spots with you. You show us yours. We'll show you ours, whatever.
Yeah.
Will says, watch out for the snakes. I was thinking, watch out for the gators.
There's quite a few. I'll be in bear country as well.
I didn't know they had bears in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be in, I'm actually
sure
going to be.
Small.
They probably are. I'll probably be. I'm actually my area, the unit that I'm going to be in actually has the bear in the Ocala National Forest. The bear like scenic road is like going right through the unit that I'm going to be in. So, and Christian, it'll be shotgun.
Yeah, there you go. And panthers. Oh, they do have panthers, mountain lions down there. So there you go. Little bitty bears is what Tim said.
I'm sure. I bet
they're probably small. Little.
I bet they're super small. Yeah.
Never hear of bears.
I'm excited though, man. Yeah, I'm very excited.
So outside of Will, do we have anyone from west of the lakes out there who are going to be affected by this CWD case? And do you guys have questions? Do you have questions on, because I don't know all the answers, and this is kind of a learning session for me too. Mm-hmm. I know that there are 5 surveillance zones, and now obviously with the confirmed case, this is going to be in the surveillance zones. I know that they're going to increase testing out there. I saw that in the response plan, they have like 21 days to, I think this is what's going to happen. And I tried to pull up, hold on a second. I was trying to pull up that article that we shared from Michael Penley, because he had kind of put all this together at realtree.com. Let's see here. Right here. But I think they're going to try to kill more deer in that zone, in that county, have them tested to see if this is an isolated case or if there's more CWD in the area. So this is what one thing that Michael said in his story, in his article. If CWD is detected during hunting season, hunter harvested surveillance will be used as a primary method of determining distribution and prevalence of CWD. Mm-hmm. Hunting opportunities will be liberalized by expanding seasons and increasing available license in the zone. Landowners will be provided with additional opportunities to take antlered or antlerless deer during the hunter season. So we're going to increase harvest in that county, Ballard County, right? For the sake of testing. So, yeah, you're taking out more deer. People don't like that. That place is overran with deer as far as does are concerned, for sure. And Hurley said, "Congratulations, Michael."
Oh, thank you, Hurley. Appreciate that, buddy.
So, and then they're going to test them. Here's the problem though, and this is what we don't want, because it should be left in the hands of hunters. But you can't complain because they are giving hunters an opportunity. Here's what none of us want. I don't think any of us want this. Maybe you don't care. If hunters do not kill a sufficient number of cervids, that's a deer, to prove an adequate sample size, or if CWD is detected outside of the hunting season, Fish and Wildlife will consider designating special hunts, landowner shooting permits. Both of those sound okay. This is the one I just don't like. Or agency-directed culling or other methods deemed necessary. So here's what that means. Yes, there's public land out there, Chris. It's called Ballard, WMA. Hurley was just there duck hunting. So here's what that means. We'll just a second. We'll get to that. So they want us to kill more deer in that county. Landowners probably open it up to more deer hunters, whatever. If that doesn't give them an adequate sample size, and I don't know what that number is, then they'll open it up, maybe open a special season out there or something. But if we still don't get it done, then Fish and Wildlife will go in there and they'll start shooting them themselves. We don't really. I hate when that happens, right? I hate that because it just, I don't know. I would rather hunters kill the deer and not just have a mass harvest, right? Yeah. So hopefully, but look, it's in the hands of the hunters. They can go out there and do it. If they don't do it, then okay. It's like I tell my girls when they're acting up, look, you fix it. And if you don't fix it, I'm going to fix it. And you don't want me to fix it. So hopefully hunters can get this sample size that they need. And if that doesn't happen, then they'll do it. So we'll see. Will says the problem in that particular county, Ballard County, after duck season comes in, then deer hunting goes out the window. Right. So that is a major duck hunting county. And once people start duck hunting, they quit deer hunting.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to, maybe they will open up like a special late rifle season, right?
They could.
Like Kyle Sams said last week. It's funny because we were kind of talking about killing more deer last week, and Kyle was like, who would be in favor of a doe only like 3-day rifle season? Sign me up, right? Yep. I would love to do that. Maybe in September, maybe in December. Who knows? Hurley says CWD has not wiped any states out that I'm aware in the past 50 years. It's a concern for sure, but you look hard enough for anything, you'll find it most likely. Just my opinion for now. I will go with what the experts have to say. Totally agree. I don't think we need to, freak out about it. Ultimately, I think it's going to be one case. I think they're probably going to, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't find another case and then we're all good, right?
Yeah, they very well might be. I think the important thing to remember is try to get out there and harvest deer and take them to the testing sites. That way we have more, samples and situations where we could find it. And if they don't, then we're good to go.
Yeah. And here's what happened. So the guy who killed the deers from Tennessee, more than likely, I think he was on the Ballard County quota hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just telling you what I've heard. This guy was more than likely on the Ballard County quota hunt. He voluntarily submitted his deer.
Makes sense.
And it was positive for CWD. They took 2 or 3 different tests. They were all positive. Then they sent it off to confirm. Good chance that deer swam the river from Illinois and came over. Missouri might be too far. Tennessee's likely not going to happen. But we'll see. How does it spread? So it spreads through their glands. Is that how it spreads, Mike? I don't know. I can tell you.
Definitely saliva for sure. It could be other bodily fluids. Not
All
sure
right.
about that.
I can
Again,
tell you right now.
we're not experts, but
CWD is spread through direct animal to animal contact and indirectly through environmental contamination from feces, urine, saliva, and infected carcasses.
that's what I was thinking.
So, like a licking branch, a corn pile, any of that can spread CWD. It is not. There's not been any case. Like, they said that. There you go. There's Kyle Sam. See, he's alive. Like I think 2 or 3 years ago, they said that there were like 6 cases of deer transmitting COVID to humans. This is not the case with CWD. It cannot be transferred to humans. If it could, major issue. That would be a major issue.
Yes,
Adam says it can be taken up into plants. Yeah, it can also like live for CWD prions. I guess, Adam, can you explain to us what a prion is? I don't know. Can survive in the environment, binding with the soil, or being taken up by plant tissues and remaining infectious. You remember, like in elementary school, they would like have you take like a flower or something with a stem, put it in like red Kool-Aid, and then you could just see that red. I'm guessing that's what CWD just seeping up into your brain. John Ross says, my hometown had 800 deer in the county dead for EHD. I think is probably much worse because it just kills the deer. I mean, it just ravages your population. Here's my question. You guys answer this in the comments. I want to know, Mike. I'm going to let you answer. Let them answer too.
Okay.
If we said we've established it cannot be transmitted from deer to humans. Let's say you kill a deer. Let's say it's a quota hunt. You have to check it in. They take it, whatever. Take the brain sample, whatever. They test it. It comes back positive. You've already paid the processor. You got that deer in your freezer. Are you throwing all the meat out? Let me know, yes or no. If you had a deer that you had killed and had processed, and they come back a month later and say, hey, your deer tested positive for CWD. Are you throwing the meat out or are you eating it? Are you still eating it? Yes or no? That's what we'll say. Are you still eating the meat? Yes or no? Mike, what would you do?
That's a great question. I think I would definitely do some extra looking around. You know how like on edge I am about certain things. So I would probably be finding out, I would probably go to a guy like Kyle. I'd probably be asking a few other people just to get some information, and then I would probably make a decision whether that would be a thing or not.
Okay. CDC
There we go.
do not eat a CWD infected deer.
So I'd be throwing it out.
Do you trust the CDC though? I mean, haven't we found that they lack a little credibility, Kyle? I'm just trying to stir it up again.
I think I would probably throw it
comments
out.
are good. Comments are good for
Yeah.
That's tough. I don't know what I would do. Dwayne, listen, I knew Dwayne would eat it. He's like, I'm eating it. I don't care. Wonder if it's like trichinosis with bears. I don't think so. I think it's if it can't be transmitted. CDC says you shouldn't eat it. I don't know. Do you think though? Let me ask you this. No doubt. There's no doubt that there are hunters every year eating CWD infected deer, and they just don't know it. That is no doubt. So is it just a mind thing?
I think I think it's just one of those things. If you know that it is positive, then you might be like, okay.
Anthony T said probably not eating the meat if tested positive. Not that hungry. I'm pretty hungry right now. Kyle says, even if the CDC has lacks some credibility, it's still more credible than me or him. So he would not eat it or feed for
fair to say that about myself. Yeah.
Kyle says I should have had me on tonight. Kyle, that was the plan, and I just forgot to ask you. Actually, Kyle, I messaged you like 4 messages on Facebook, and you never responded. So that was probably I'm like, well, Kyle's mad or something.
Kyle, I asked him. I knew we were going to be talking about science tonight. So we needed you. We should have definitely called you on here.
Well, here, let's just see. Where is he here?
If you're ready to come on, maybe we can get you on here right now.
Kyle, I sent you the link. Come on.
We sent you the link.
You
Jump
got
on here,
24
Kyle.
minutes.
Jump on here,
He
Kyle.
said I did respond. Yeah, about like 3 days later. Let's see. What is y'all's thoughts and opinions on baiting going forward? So that's the biggest question. As soon as we posted about the CWD, and listen, I gotta say, I knew about this like 20 minutes before anyone else publicly, because I just happened to be on the phone with Rich Storm, and he was like, we were talking about something totally off topic. He's like, man, I gotta break some bad news in 20 minutes, and I was like, what? Like, I didn't think it was CW. He's like, well, we got our first case. I was like, oh man. So literally 2 minutes after he posted the video, I was ready to go and posted shared the video. So but that's the big question, Casey. As soon as we posted it, like the number one comment, well, here goes baiting. Might as well throw our corn away. Well, all this. I think if you're east of the lakes, that's Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley. If you're east of the lakes, I think you don't have anything to worry about right now, right? If you're west of the lakes, maybe. I don't know.
Let's see. I'll be curious to see how we handle that as a state. I'll be really curious, because I think, I just think it's such a way of life for a lot of people in hunting now. People bait, and we put stuff out for deer, and it'll be interesting to see how they approach that. And I would imagine there will probably be a ban somewhere within that vicinity, like you said. Not sure if it'll be a statewide thing, but we'll find out.
We'll see. I know Kyle Sams. He's secretly hoping there's a statewide ban on bait. A lot of hardcore deer hunters are secretly hoping, oh man, I hope they ban baiting. I don't, because one, I just know a lot of people do it. And that's how they kill their deer, and I don't have a problem with it. It's legal. Two, man, that's really going to hurt people like Antler Builder and people that sell it.
A lot of companies. Yeah, a lot of companies.
So Jimmy is bringing back the foot taco. Jimmy will not let us live down the meat eater. Look, I got that conversation from Meat Eater, Jim. It is what it is. I'm not eating either, Jim. Depends on whose foot it is.
Yeah, definitely not.
Look who it is.
There he is.
Guys.
How did your wife make you go out to the garage?
Oh, yeah.
It's bedtime for those kids.
Yeah, the kids asleep. My garage is a mess. Fun times, man.
If you can see this room right now, it's a mess. I've got things everywhere.
That's Kyle, right. You got to hold the cam up high so it don't make.
Do you secretly hope there's a ban on baiting?
Yes.
I mean, you're not with the department anymore. You can say
no. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's one of those things, man. I kind of have two schools of thought on it. Yes, I would like to have it banned just because. I mean, there's several reasons, not just for deer, but for, turkey. I mean, the congregation of coons in the area. I mean, just all these other factors that baiting, specifically using corn, has on wildlife. I mean, that. But then, the other, my other kind of mindset is, this is something that probably should have been done a long time ago. And just like you guys have talked before, when something's set, I mean, it's tradition. It's hard to break it. And there's so many people that use corn, and I don't, I mean, that's fine to use corn. There's nothing wrong with it. But in terms of, people's time and it's hard to get out and hunt in today's society. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. The world moves so fast, and corn makes things easier for hunters. But with that being said, yes, I do think that it should go away. As a biologist, knowing.
Hey, can I just be clear? I did not say that. It was Kyle Sams. Hey, listen, this is interesting. Adam Lewis, who is a doctor, he's smarter than us. He's not quite the CDC, Kyle, but he's up there. He says because prions, which is what I guess is how it spreads, are simple proteins, there is a concern the disease can eventually mutate and jump species the more exposure humans have to the prion. All theoretical and some interesting controversial studies on monkeys in Canada
Yeah.
That would suck. That would be really bad because I'm guessing if a human gets, I mean, could you imagine? That's debilitating. That would be.
Yeah. So like, yeah, he hit the nail on the head there. There's the research he's talking about out of Canada. The person or the author, the lead author, her name's Stephanie Zub. I can't.
Name dropping.
Yeah, she's. We had her come to our Southeast Deer study here in Kentucky back in 2017, whenever that was, and then basically her research. It's on macaques. And which are their DNA is or their chromosomes are very similar to humans. So basically what they were doing, I'm pretty sure that they're inoculating them. They're basically injecting CWD into the brain, I believe. There's the other study which was done out of Colorado. They did. They were feeding macaque monkeys CWD infected meat. The two studies differed in that the one in Colorado, none of the monkeys had come down with CWD. But the ones in Canada, in that research project, they did. So it jumped the species barrier. But the only issue is that the one in Canada, they
directly infected it, right?
What's that?
You said they directly infected their brains in Canada?
Yeah, they were dropping it right into.
How could they not?
Yeah, I know it. Right. But it wasn't peer reviewed, so that's a big deal if it's not peer reviewed in research. So the one in Colorado was, and I don't know that it's been repeated, but either way, those two we had them both at our Southeast Deer Study Group that was in Kentucky in 2017, and it was interesting because they had competing, different sides of the story there. So.
Yeah. So we talked before. I don't know when this was. A couple years ago, I had Kip Adams, who we talked about recently, on a show, and said, I said it's pretty much inevitable that Kentucky will get a KCWD, and he was like, not necessarily because they've done a great job. And Kip Adams is like the director of conservation for National Deer Association, and he was like, they've done a great job keeping it out, this and that. So I think just because we have one confirmed case, we just need to maybe pump the brakes a little.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man. So
what's going to happen? What they're going to change? Just slow down a little. Let it unfold. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, the good thing about Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, I mean, I was there for 8 years, and before that, I was there for 4 years. So total, almost 12 years with Fish and Wildlife. And I mean, what I was doing outside of deer management was CWD, and all I did was manage the number of samples and all that kind of stuff that we were supposed to get from each county, and try to organize all that. And we have done a really good job. Well, I say we, but they have done a really good job before me and even after me, through me and after me, of getting samples throughout the state. So
the
one thing about where this deer was found in that general area, not in the 5-county zone, but they have collected so many samples out there. Right. That first year, there was 4,500 samples collected.
Yeah.
And that's huge. So we didn't find anything then, and they have been collecting, maybe not as hard since then, but so you can, feel pretty confident that the prevalence is not very high. If it's there, it might be a low prevalence, which is good. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what happened in New York.
No, I'm not.
So basically, they're 2012, I think.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second. The comments. So people wondering about Mike's hat. Let's see. Can we make Mike bigger here? Maybe not. So if you're wondering about Mike's hat, that is a Kentucky Fish and Wildlife hat. That was a gift, right, Mike? Somebody gave that to you?
Yeah, it was.
I have one too. But I tried to get somebody asked me about them. They were going to buy one, and they just can't keep them in stock because they give them away as gifts, and when they get them, people buy them. So his hat is a Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, proud supporter of Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, because we are. So that's what his hat says. So Joyce, if you're in Frankfurt, just go out there and ask. Find Brian Blank. Say, hey, you got any of those hats that Mike Collins wears on that Tuesday Night Live show?
Brian's always got hats.
If he doesn't have one, he'll give you something, a sticker, a bag, something. So.
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead and finish. Sorry.
So I guess the good thing about it is that, the prevalence is pretty low in New York was kind of one of the only states that kind of experienced this. So they found 5 deer that tested positive for CWD, and they found this early, and they were able to do some work and get rid of some deer in that general area, and never found another positive.
There you go.
And they test really, really well. So I'm not saying that's what could happen to us, but I would feel pretty confident that we could be in that ballpark. And maybe not. I'm hoping that happens to us. That would be best case scenario since we've already found one. But
so what is when they say now, and I should have added this earlier, when they liberalize the deer season or the deer harvest opportunities in that county, they take all the deer to a processor that they partner with. All that meat will be checked. It will be kept in storage or whatever. And once they know that that a particular deer had a negative test, then they will either give that meat to the landowner or donate it to I guess back to the hunter or to Hunters for the Hungry. So they're not just going to kill deer and waste them. The only ones that will be wasted are the ones with CWD. So
are you reading that?
Not wasted. It's used for research. What?
Have you read that?
Yes, I read that in the response plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say you sound like you're reading the response plan I wrote, partly.
Oh yeah, there you go. No, I read that before I got on here. Yeah,
I love it.
So that sounds eerily familiar. So, yeah, I mean that puts KDFWR in a tight spot because logistically that's hard to do. I mean, you have a lot of deer that are hunted or killed, and then you have to set these things up for.
It puts that processor in a bind, man. Whew.
Yeah, so you got a lot of meat sitting in the freezer, waiting. I mean, it'll be set. I mean, the carcass will be sitting there hanging for a while. Luckily, we can do. Fish and Wildlife does these in batches, and depending on the test that is used, it can go pretty quickly. So that's the good thing. Versus there's several different or a few different tests. One of them is the ELISA test.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
The line's a little quicker.
Kind of shows like it's probably positive. Then you send it off for like the official. So I think what's a good. So in Ballard County, if they're wanting hunters to come out there and kill more deer, what's a good sample size? Like how many do you think they need? Because I think let me look right here. So far, they have collected 98 in Ballard County. 58 have been 57 were negative. 1 was positive, and they're waiting 39 to come back. So what's a good 98 doesn't sound like a good sample size to me.
Well, if you don't have CWD, it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that was. I mean, they're probably doing what they can to boost those numbers. There's no doubt in my mind. I know those guys. I mean, they're already probably thinking of how they can get more deer samples from that county and surrounding counties. But that number to me says, it was a quota, not to say quota, but, a target number of samples. And that's where they are getting that. And this popped a week ago. So it's like they're going to be getting a lot more samples in pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it looks like they have, I lost it. So just the surround. So you have the 5 surveillance counties in the 5 counties in the surveillance zone, and then you have like the surveillance zone adjacent. They call it. So the ones bordering. So Ballard, Carlisle County, and McCracken County. So it looks like they have 143 samples in from McCracken.
Yeah.
A total in those 3 counties, a total of 326. In the surveillance zone counties, they have 1,600. So they've collected a lot. So how many do you think they want from Ballard?
They're going to want more than that. I mean, they're going to want way more than that. I would probably suggest that, and I don't know. It may have changed. There's a risk-based model that the Dr. Casey uses to. She's the vet for Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, and they have a. It's basically a risk-based model that kind of tells them what they need statistically based off several different parameters, and it's population size. I'm trying to think some of the sex ratios, the habitat types, several things like that go into this model, and it spits out a number. So basically, they're probably going to want to have as many as they can get. I would imagine region in that kind of general region within 30 miles of the positive are going to want to have 150 to 250 animals.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Go ahed, Mike.
I was going to say
sorry, more than what they have now. So probably total 300 plus
350, maybe 400, something like that.
As many as you can get. I mean, there is a certain point that statistically you don't need every deer in the county to feel confident that you're safe, or you've got a low prevalence. But there is a specific number that they know what it is. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I would imagine it's around 300.
Yeah.
So and that's across. So they're not just looking in Ballard, because obviously deer can travel, especially November, December. Deer can travel a lot. So, what do you think? Do you think they're going to institute a special season, or I mean, if you have a bunch of January archery hunters, you're not going to kill. You're not going to come close to 300.
No. So what? So anybody can go look at this plan, the CWD response plan. A lot of that stuff is outlined in there, and I don't know exactly how they're going.
Skylar's trying to give away $5,000, not grand, to the first 6 people. Don't message that person, spammer.
I'll take $5,000.
Yeah, $5,000.
No, grands. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Skylar is probably a real account that's been hacked. So sorry, Skylar. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know where that, but
I said, a bunch of January archery hunters.
Yeah. So they've already got this worked out. I mean, in their minds. And when I was there, I was pretty much against, having the department go out and shoot all these animals.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to do that.
At least as a first resort. At least as the first step, right? That's
now, there's going to be situations where, there's some landowner out there that is, one of their major issues with, farming is deer. And they're going to be like, hey, yeah, come shoot all the deer you want.
Yeah.
And
me and Mike will go. Sign us up.
And then that's the thing is, I think Fish and Wildlife will likely utilize the hunting public to help them get this. So there might be
he doesn't mean the YouTubers. He means
not the hunting YouTubers. And to go out there and take, or if it's not if it's not you guys, then it might be the landowners and some people they trust to go out there and shoot these animals, and realize that it's not typical deer damage complaints and things like that. What I ran into when I was doing all that stuff was people were wanting to go out there and just get an extra shot at a buck, and well, they don't know that the department takes the antlers, so that pretty much stops that pretty quickly. And so what I'm getting at is, I mean, they're going to know that they have to go out there and shoot whatever.
Yeah.
And there might be some, if there's a big buck out there that, somebody, I mean, there's going to be some stipulations probably set by the landowner, but
will they? Now, here's a tricky question in my mind. You're testing for CWD, and Bub says Dan can't make show on time. Bub, you've slacked big time lately. Just saying. Ever since Bub stood us up for deer camp, he's just been inconsistent. So, you're testing for CWD. You're trying to catch more cases, so you don't want to spread it, but you're trying to kill more deer. So do you bait? Do you bait to kill more deer?
That's a tough one. So yeah, that's a tough one. And the idea is you're going to find across the board that it's different from state to state, but there are several states that utilize corn because it does bring them in, and ultimately they're going to die. And if it's at a low prevalence, if you get it high enough sample size, you can feel confident using that to kind of help boost your case of why you want to use it. But yeah, I mean,
Will says you don't have to bait out there. There's so many deer. Will's an Eastern Kentucky guy. He's a Harlan County guy.
Yeah,
so he's once you move from Harlan to Ballard, you're like, wow, This is
And
deer.
Ballard's not even. I mean, the deer numbers in Ballard are not in the West. I mean, they're not really
not
that
as
high.
Yeah, they're not like Ohio, Christian County or something.
Christian, I mean, Central Kentucky out to I think Mike said it was last week, Green River, running up to Cincinnati, back down to Lexington is not real high, but I mean that's a good.
All those
triangle.
Ohio River counties, though, those Ohio River counties seem to have good deer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, do you think it would be easier to get drawn for the Ballard quota hunt? Maybe.
Probably not. I don't think. I don't think it'll circulate enough to know.
If you want to be in that Ballard quota hunt, it's because you want to kill a big buck. So here's an interesting question, and Kyle, I think there's some misconception around this. People think that Fish and Wildlife want to go up there and kill deer to eradicate CWD, but it's really just for more testing.
Yeah. So. Right. That's what it is. It's more testing. They're not going in there and clean, wipe the slate clean, kill every deer off a piece of property. Ideally, I keep saying we because I was there for a long time. So what they would want to do is, you're going to go to a specific property, and that property that is in the 30-mile range radius. Thank you. Radius of the positive. They're not going to go in there and just kill every deer off every piece of property. They're going to go in there and take, depending on the size of the property, 10, 5 deer from here, 5 deer from there. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, they're going to get their numbers and have it spread around uniformly. That's the idea. So you get a good sample size that's spread around uniformly. That's what they'll likely do.
So it's not just a free for all.
It's not a free for all. They do go about this scientifically. It's not. They're not going to go out there and whack and stack.
Yeah. So Adam has a very scientific question here. And
love that question. That's a good question.
Will Kolingers is smart in this area too. So Kyle, will we ever perfect a way to get samples, lymphatic biopsies of live deer?
I know there was some folks working on that, and I don't know how. You really need the whole lymph node. And I mean, when you go to look at this lymph node, they grind them up and they kind of, it depends, I guess, the test, but maybe one day. I don't think that'll happen. It's too hard. I mean, for captive deer that would work because you got their controlled environment, but you're not going to be able to do that with wild animals. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd have to get your hands on a whole lot of wild animals, and I can tell you, catching deer in some of the lower population parts of the state is really tough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
you just got to kill them.
I mean, we kill 120 to 150,000 deer a year, and I mean, we could get more than enough samples from our hunters, and that's the easiest, most effective way to do it. I mean, you'd be spending a whole lot of money to trap animals and pull a live sample. It'd be tough.
So here's this is kind of a question that goes on the side of people that think banning bait is not a good step toward reducing CWD or keeping it out. It says, what about natural foods, licking branches? Deer are natural social creatures. How do you stop them from being social? So that's what people say. They're saying, hey, why would you ban bait? They're just going to get it from a licking branch or get it from eating clover or whatever. So what is your response there, Kyle?
So the idea of banning bait is, okay, we can't remove every single, I keep saying they can't, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife or anybody, none of us can remove every single threat on the landscape that could potentially promote infection from one deer to the other or transmission from one deer to the other. So what we're trying to do is, reduce that transmission as much as possible.
Right.
And outside of cutting down all trees in the state of Kentucky, and that's a pretty dramatic example, but corn is a pretty low hanging fruit, or just bait in general. That's something that we can limit and be effective in lowering transmission.
So Bub has a question now. Growing up, Kyle, growing up in Eastern Kentucky, people use the mountains for all kinds of things. Like, man, if there's ever a tornado here, it's going to bounce around these
Oh, I
mountains.
remember those, man.
Or we're never going to have a tornado here because the mountains are a barrier. So Bub says someone told him that the eastern part of the state is safer because the mountains are a barrier. Like we use that. I don't know if there's any truth to any of that. It doesn't seem like that would be the case.
No, barrier is not exactly the word. Low densities is if you just think about a good example. If you just think, there's just not enough deer on a landscape to move, or there's not as much transmission happening in Southeast Kentucky. You're looking at somewhere between 5 and 20 deer per square mile, compared to Central Kentucky, which is 60 to 120 deer per square mile. Some cases more. There's just a lot more. If you take a petri dish and put 10 beads inside of there, it's not a big deal. But if you put 1,000 beads inside of a small petri dish, there's a lot more contact going on there. So that's not necessarily a barrier. It's just the densities kind of slow it down there if it's there.
Jimmy Carroll's turning in for the night. Jimmy, we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Jimmy.
If you get out there this weekend, let us know, my friend.
Good luck, buddy.
So I think you said that Hurley says, how fast can samples be turned around so deer don't go to waste? If they get like the ELISA test, if they get that and it shows negative, can those deer, are they for certain they can go ahead and that meat be returned to whoever, you know what I'm saying? Or do they have to wait on like the long-term test?
No, so all samples will be tested through ELISA, and it's a lot quicker. And Fish and Wildlife has, we've been doing this for a while. They've been doing this for a while. They've got the kinks worked out. It's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. And if it does turn positive, that person will be known. They'll know the very next day, and then they'll send that sample off to be tested. IHC. Actually, I don't know the protocol exactly. If it was positive for ELISA, I would imagine that if it was positive for ELISA, and it was negative or not detected IHC, then there might not be anything done about it.
Yeah.
So, but because IHC is gold standard. It's the test that you run. ELISA is just a lot faster, and it gets your meat back to you. So,
James, yes, if they banned baiting, it would include minerals. Yes, and as far as corn that's on the stalk, there's nothing you can do about that. Like,
and that goes to corn on the stalk. Yeah, there's nothing. A lot of people think, well, why ban baiting and not use a food plot? Well, basically, food plot is still, deer will come eat that, and they can eat in the same spot. It's just it spreads it out.
Yeah.
Versus concentrating them all in one spot. I'm sure you've all seen deer drool on the overtop corn. I don't know if I've ever not seen a deer drool over corn, and then another deer comes right behind them and eats it.
Right.
So
there you go. You spread it. Anthony says, "Miss you not." Anthony, catch that replay. Kids and sports, man, they're always getting in their way. I tell you.
Nothing wrong
why
with
did
that.
Kyle leave the department? Kyle is very smart, but he took a different job. You got to make that money, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like my family.
Don't pay the best, you know.
Yeah, and I really miss it, and the people are great. It was a dream job, but when you're young and there's nothing wrong with going after those dreams, but then you get older and you realize, hey man, I got a family, and I want to be able to spend my short time with my family. It's gonna make some money.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Andy says, what types of symptoms to deer? What types of symptoms will deer exhibit with CWD? Great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's so basically just like any other sickness, they're very similar. The only one that sticks out in my mind is different from. So you get let's just take a few different illnesses that deer have: CWD, brain abscess deer, and hemorrhagic disease deer. They all will stand around, kind of drooping their head, sagging, depending, and just kind of standing there lost. It looks like there's something wrong with them, or they're acting funny. CWD, that's they'll stand there, drool. I mean, I've seen brain abscess deer standing there drooling.
Yeah.
And same thing with hemorrhagic disease deer. The only thing about hemorrhagic disease deer is most time you find them dead in a pond or some water source. That's how you distinguish them pretty quickly. I mean, it could be something else, but
yeah,
hemorrhagic disease or a brain abscess deer, it's usually you always see a lot more brain abscess deer from November through January because they've been fighting and they fight hard, and then it's when they get that break in the skull and or a puncture into the skull, and then bacteria seeps into the brain, and it just takes some time. There's usually a giant pus ball in there that they're trying to fight it off with, and it basically puts pressure on the brain. They lose control and they just waste away and die. CWD, same kind of things. And the thing about CWD, it's the worst is that you could, just like this deer in Ballard County, a 2.5-year-old buck didn't look sick, right? Wasn't clinical, right? I mean, it's a normal looking buck. I mean, CWD they can go 18 months without showing any symptoms and be spreading it the entire 18 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's by the time they're clinical, I mean, they've been spreading it around for a while. So
yeah.
But there's a lot of similarities when it comes to being having a sick deer. That's why it's super. I mean, if you see a sick deer, regardless of what it is, call the deer coordinator Joe McDermott or the vet Christine Casey, and they can, if they can't get it themselves, get somebody out there. They'll get somebody out there to check it out because they want that sample. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Well, I think hopefully that answered a lot of questions people have. It's a lymphatic disease before it comes neurologic, Adam says. I guess is it CWD? I forgot where I was going. Oh, I hope that answered a lot of questions, and I'm sure that as steps are taken, some people are going to be happy, some are not, just like every other decision. But I just don't think it's anything to get really all wound up about right now. No one's coming for your bait. No one is looking to wipe out all the deer in a certain area. And I well, first of all, I do trust the people I know in the department to handle this with care and do their best. But even if I didn't, I don't have a choice. Right? Yeah. We don't have a choice. Like, we just gotta, it is what it is.
I can say that there have been 31 other states that have went before us and laid a lot of good groundwork for Kentucky Fish and Wildlife to follow up. So they've seen a lot of mistakes, and which is good that we've watched all these other states go and seen all the mistakes that they've made. That Kentucky Fish and Wildlife will have their ducks in a row, and they'll handle this in the appropriate ways.
Kyle, what just out of curiosity, and you don't even have to put you can just be your personal opinion. What are the mistakes that some of those states made?
Well, one of them we kind of hit on earlier, and that's going in and kind of had the perceived or the perception that the Fish and Wildlife Agency is going in and killing a bunch of deer, and they use themselves exclusively without giving some of the hunters chance or the landowners to help deal with it themselves, because this is not a sprint. This is a long-term thing.
Right.
So that's one thing. Trying to think of another. It will be, it just means communication, man. I mean, communication from some of these states have been terrible early on, and you can see, like, man, why didn't you just go talk to the landowners or the hunters? And that was a big problem. And I think that with Fish and Wildlife PR program, and the biologists there and their knowledge, I mean, I think it's going to, and they've seen what goes down, and about some of these states going, I guess not communicating very well, or trying to go in and shoot all these deer, and they just got to be very upfront. And that's another. I mean, some of these states have communicated, but they've not been upfront about it. They did it on the back end. You got to be on the very front of the edge of this thing, and be very transparent about what's going on. This is what we're going to do, how we plan to do it, and I mean that's going to benefit everybody. I mean, it's not chaos if you just kind of surprise it on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So 2 questions. WO says CWD is something that runs its course. What keeps it from wiping out the herd? And then Can it be passed to domestic livestock?
Doug, I'll answer that one first. It cannot be passed to livestock. There are different variants of a TSE, transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. Try to say that 3 or 4 times
Yeah,
fast.
that was impressive.
There's so you got if everybody's heard of mad cow disease, that was found in Europe in early 2000s, and that affected cattle. Then there's scrapies, affect sheep, and then there's Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease that affects people. Just different variants, but it won't affect cattle. It won't jump the species barrier that we know of. I mean, I'm not going to say it won't, but I mean, it's never has, and cattle and deer have been commingling in CWD infested areas for a long time.
Yeah.
And the first question was, is it something that runs its course? No, it is something that it's not a virus. It's not a bacteria. It is it's a misfolded protein that accumulates in the brain, and over time accumulates, and it causes little tiny microscopic holes all throughout the brain. And as you can imagine, somebody taking pieces of your brain out or just missing parts of your brain, you'll slowly go crazy and waste away. And once it's in a deer, it stays in them, and they might not die from CWD. They might die of pneumonia or get eaten by a coyote. But what has set them in motion to die is chronic wasting disease.
Gotcha.
It won't run its course.
Yeah.
I hope it does, but it's never going to.
Gary said poor communication in Tennessee. I think they call that lying, Gary, is what it is. I think Tennessee. I think it's called fabrication.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go down that road.
Yeah. You know what? I have talked to someone who this was the day after it happened, who thinks it's possible this guy could have brought the deer from Tennessee with him. That's just, I mean, would you think anyone would do that? They could have maybe brought the deer in Tennessee and just tagged it here and kept their Tennessee tag.
I mean, well, they're going to do genetics on it, and they'll figure out where it's at. So,
yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea why
tough.
Would do that, but
it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, we'll have to know Go ahead. Sorry.
No, someone told me that it may have been the night of the announcement. They're like, it's just a little fishy. It's just a little suspicious to me. And this is a person that he doesn't work for Fish and Wildlife, but it's he's connected there. And so he's like, there's just a lot here that just doesn't add up. But then I've heard other people say that too. So I was just throwing it out there.
Well, if that is possibility,
that'd be wild.
I kind of would like it to be that way, because that means that
fantastic. Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, that deer didn't come from Kentucky, but man, that guy is going to be in some. I mean, I'm sure conservation officers are looking into this, and I mean, if you bring CWD in Kentucky, boy, that is that's a lot of money.
So if that deer genetically can be traced back to Tennessee, would they just say, well, it traveled a long ways?
I mean,
I'm guessing it's going to be like Illinois or something.
It wouldn't be unheard of. Deer can travel a long ways, but it being a 2.5-year-old buck, probably not.
Yeah, but Illinois is possible, right? Just across the river.
Well, their CWD deer are in the northwest. So I mean, they're up a lot higher. I'm sorry, northeast over there. It's not on our side. It's kind of farthest in Illinois.
Interesting.
We'll see. We'll see. What is the rebound time? If it's severely impacted, what's the rebound time? It just doesn't wipe everything out. So there's not really like a rebound time, right? It's just when do things go back to normal?
I don't think anything will ever go back to normal when it comes to CWD. It might be. I mean, there are some deer that show some resistance genetically, but so basically, in a nutshell, the deer that are not resistant die quicker. The deer that are resistant, they still die, or resistant, they still die. They just live longer. So they spread it. They can spread the disease longer. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're out on the landscape longer. But over time, and given how evolution works, you would think that those animals would have, being out on the landscape longer, would be able to breed more potentially. And you know, I don't know. I'm down the line. There could be some deer that are resistant to it, but if it is, it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
A long while.
So I was looking here what Ohio. So Ohio has 3 counties where they had positive cases, and it sucks because like Ballard County is on the border, so you can kind of isolate that. Ohio's counties are like right in the middle, like they're surrounded by other counties. So what do you do there? But it looks like and I think this was last year. So what they did was they opened a season up 3 weeks prior to the regular deer season and let people hunt in that county. Do you think it's going to be next year before we see something like that?
Probably. Again, the best way to go at getting deer samples. I mean, again, this is not a sprint. I mean, so it's here. Yes, you want to get as much information as feasibly possible. So they're going to try to get as many deer between now and the end of the season, and even past the season with, you know, farmers that are experiencing deer damage. I mean, they're going to want to get those samples from those guys. Yeah. But I would imagine that there probably wouldn't be any emergency regulations, just because hunting season next year gives us a lot of time to prepare, get things ready. Yeah. And when hunting season kicks off next year, there might be something early next year. I don't know. We were talking about last week that early September doe hunt, but in Zone 1 counties. But I mean, I would love to have it. I would love to have that.
So
but, I mean, I don't know what it'll be, but it might be something like that.
I feel like there's no way we're going to get 300 deer in addition to what they already have before January 14th or whenever the last day is.
Probably not.
So then that tells me if they don't extend it, if they don't do some kind of emergency reg where they can have a special season, then the department's just going to go out there and do it. So I think, you know, landowners, allow more hunters out there. If they could just maybe extend just that, you know, 3 county zone or whatever they're surveilling there to February and allow, I don't know what they could do, but I just hope that whatever they decide to do, they give hunters the opportunity to do it first. It doesn't really matter as far as, I mean, the deer are going to be killed no matter what, but it just looks a heck of a lot better to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. But when it comes to that number now, that number is not going to be, so the number of 98 that you talked about earlier, was that just Ballard County?
Yes. So 98 in Ballard. Hold on. 85 in Carlisle, 143 in McCracken.
Okay, so that corner, right? That corner there, or that general area where it touches McCracken. So they will use, if there's samples over there in that general area, they're not going to divide that zone up by county in terms of sampling. That they'll include that 30-mile radius. They will include all the samples in that to get what they need in that general area. Just because it's Ballard County.
That would include maybe Hickman, definitely Graves, because Graves borders Ballard. Is it 30 miles from Ballard WMA or wherever it was killed, or like the center of the county?
No, it's from the positive where it was killed. They already know where. I mean, I would hope they would know where exactly this guy shot this deer at.
No,
if it was in Tennessee or Kentucky, they'll know that pretty quickly. I'm assuming it's in Kentucky. I'm sure if it was Tennessee, we would know that by now.
Yeah.
So,
that's. I mean, they're going to count that. They're going to have the management zone, which would be that general area that's right there around the deer, and then the surveillance zone, which will be further out. But I mean, they will. Whatever animals are killed in that general area will be considered part of the statistical analysis. So it won't be just from Ballard or McCracken or Carlisle.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it looks like 30 miles to go a long way. That's a big range.
Hey,
So,
and let me say one thing too. Deer will swim the river. I've seen them swim a lot. Big
Yeah.
rivers, little rivers, it doesn't matter. They will cross them, and they will cross them frequently.
I've not seen it personally, but I've seen videos of deer swimming in the middle of the Great Lakes. So like Lake Michigan, like
They are
where
good
you gonna
swimmers.
go? Can't it? Like
That's
so,
a long way, man. I wouldn't
I
be
don't know. I've
surprised though
been
if they
out
could
there,
make
and
that.
it's I would go back. I would stay home. So,
Yeah.
well, Kyle, man, we appreciate you. We won't keep you any longer. It's 10:20, and I gotta get in bed. I got early morning. So, number
Thanks
one,
for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank
hey,
you.
anytime, brother, anytime.
All right.
So,
Have a good night.
I think you too, brother. We'll see you
See you, buddy.
Later.
I think, Mike. First of all, CWD is here. It's in Kentucky. Bub said, "Does that mean we'll always have CWD?" Yeah, it's like
Probably.
that's a bad analogy. Yes, it is. Just because Ballard has it, just because it's west of the lakes, doesn't mean that the rest of Kentucky will ever get it. Right? Doesn't mean I'm in Franklin County. Doesn't mean Franklin County will ever have a case. It also doesn't mean that it won't. Right? So, second, I think it's nothing to get up in arms about, the conversation's already died down. I think that was released on Thursday. It's Tuesday. It's been 5 days. And second, we just got to trust that they'll, no matter what they do, they could hire you and me to go out there and kill all those deer, which we would probably never accomplish. And some people would be like, hey, that's a great idea. Some people would hate it. They could ban baiting. Some people will love it. Some people hate it. They could shut down that side of the. You can't make everyone happy. So we just got to trust that they'll do the right thing. And that and I'm just hoping that it stays out there. It stays out there and doesn't make its way this way. So
Yeah. Hopefully we can contain this thing, and it's going to be hard. I mean, it is here, and we're just going to have to make good decisions and then follow what they tell us to do. They're the folks that are doing the work, and they're going to do the science, and they're going to advise us on what we need to do, and we need to adhere to that and do our best to kind of just follow what we need to do.
Yeah, and I think sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know what I had something to say, but I don't remember. Now. $20 a deer, sign me up.
Let's go.
I could use the money. Gosh, what was I gonna say? Oh, nothing to do with this. Before we leave, Cats versus Carolina Saturday. Who you
Excited.
think?
Kentucky.
Are we
Excited.
taking a step back now that the big men are here and we're not shooting as many threes and we're slowing down?
I think we might take a tiny step back, but I think he's going to let some of our big guys shoot threes. So it's still going to be able to spread the floor.
Who deserves more minutes? Aaron Bradshaw or Reed Shepherd?
Reed Shepherd.
Wagner. Is it DJ?
DJ Wagner. Yeah.
I was going to call him his dad's name.
The minutes,
DJ Wagner or Shepherd?
Shepherd. But
Jay
Wagner
Billis,
does some things.
Jay
Wagner
Billis
does some
said
things
today,
yeah, I heard what Jay said. Yeah.
he is the best player on Kentucky's team. Not the most talented. The best and most talented are totally different.
He's the most well-rounded.
Oh, well, I heard someone talking the other day. It was like a national guy said, when Kentucky is on the court, no matter who they're playing, Kansas, Carolina, Duke, whoever, Gonzaga, I don't know who the other top teams are. Baylor, maybe, I don't know. No matter who they play in the country, the smartest, the highest basketball IQ on the court is Reed Shepherd.
Probably true.
I love it.
The minutes that are lost with Bradshaw's return, though, are zero.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Yep. I'm excited.
All right, Michael, I appreciate you.
Good to see you, bud.
Everyone that was on here that was part of the conversation, Will, Justin, Anthony, Gary, Doug, Adam, everyone. If I left you out, thank you for being here. We'll be back next Tuesday. I don't know what we're going to talk about. This is kind of a slow year. That will be like our pre-Christmas show.
Pre-Christmas show.
Wear,
Hey,
like,
listen,
Santa hat.
finishing the deer season. We got trapping coming up. We got coyote hunting coming up. There's still stuff going on.
Bub said only if Cal had Reed's IQ. Okay. Shots fired.
Reed's a pretty smart kid.
Gary said he might slip up to Lincoln County. I feel like from Knoxville to Lincoln County is not really a slip up. I think it's a pretty good trip there, Gary. Let's see. Hurley says good night. Trapping. Oh, we can talk about trapping. We're not doing any trapping right now. Are you going to trap again this year?
Yeah,
Will's
absolutely.
wanting his live invite. We'll have to have Will on. He's a duck hunter, and I think he kills a lot of coyotes too.
We need some duck experts, that's for sure.
WO, we'll see you, brother. We appreciate you. All right, guys, we'll get off here. Have a good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Go Cats. Go Reed.